welcome back to Scale JDM Reviews. This is part 2 of the K-Brake Majesta Rebuild, and what I want to do in this particular episode is just take you through the car. Now you can see it in bits all in front of you there, and also show you one that I made earlier just in Blue Peter fashion there. So before we go any further, I do have another version of this kit. Now I actually got the retool of this kit. It came with a 19-inch Koenig wheels and a slightly different suspension setup. Now obviously the one in front of you on the bench here did come fully built. I don't know if there were alternative parts in the kit or whether the kit was made from exactly what was in the box with nothing left over. The other kit that I have, which is the retool version, it had a slightly different suspension setup. It gave the car a little bit of camber, made it a bit lower, but that was really, apart from the wheels, the only difference to the whole kit. So what we have here is the kit that I built previously. Basically this was the first VIP kit that I ever built. It's a little bit rough around the edges in some respects. The wheels aren't the standard ones. The wheels are Work Equip 05s, and they actually came out of a K-Brake Celsius kit, and they were repainted slightly to just offset the brown on this car, which is actually Zero Paint's Black Amber, if you're wondering about the colour. As you can see underneath, it wasn't painted. I tend not to do the chassis on these kits, but if we then compare side by side to the chassis on this one, we look at the top, you can see straight away that there's a difference on the front subframe, whereas the one on the left is reinforced, I guess you could say, and the one on the right is the standard one. If we move down a bit further, what you'll see is also a slightly different look. If you look at the rear arms here, these ones here on either side are actually ever so slightly longer and ever so slightly thinner than these two here. What that does is it just pushes the wheels out of the bottom of the kit a little bit more than the top, and it gives us this kind of angle that we see here. Now another difference you might see on this kit compared to the red Majesta before we took it apart is that I only fitted the front bumper to this one. I didn't use the side skirts and I didn't use the back. This for me, along with the rear spoiler, sorry, this for me, it represented back when I was young how cars used to be mainly modified. It was a deep front splitter, a rear spoiler on the boot, and that was basically, it gave it quite an aggressive stance even without the car being lowered, and that was what I was trying to replicate with this kit here. So going on the basis that this kit that we have in front of us just here was built as per the items in the box and that it didn't have the extra bits that the other kit had, we're going to have to figure out a way of lowering the kit a little bit more, because as it stood it was kind of a normal standard height, if not just a tiny bit lower, but we can make that a little bit lower again depending on the look we'll go for. So if we just take a close look at the body, as you can see the body is going to need some work. We've got a lot of sanding that has to go through here. The lights are going to have to be cleaned up, especially where the screw was here. It's going to have to be sanded down, maybe filled. And also with the back, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But once it's all sanded down and filled, we will be able to get it primed up looking pretty sharp. Okay, up next we can look at the side skirts. These came off quite cleanly, in fact, although there was a little bit of damage to this front one just here, as we can see. But once we've got that glued in place, we can get it primed and sanded down, and that should be able to hide that little misfortune. Moving on to the front and rear bumpers. These are in quite good condition. It does look like that rear bumper there was stretched a little bit, as you can see the discoloration. But other than that, it did survive. There's nothing really that we're going to need to do apart from, although I've just seen that damage there, we can fill that. That's not going to be an issue. And also on the front, I need to get these glass lenses out, which I can just poke out from behind, which isn't too much of a problem before we get that painted and sanded. I'm going to have to get those lenses polished out so that they are nice and sparkly too. Okay, moving on to the rear spoiler. I'm not entirely 100% sure that I'm going to use this. I'm pretty sure I am going to use the side skirts and the front and rear spoilers. Bumpers, I guess you could say. Those will be going on the kit, but the spoiler, I don't know. I do like a sporty looking car, but I think just with the bottom ground effects and it pretty low to the ground, I think would be enough to make it look pretty VIP. Okay, so moving on to the rear light bar here. It is pretty glued up. There is texture inside that, so that might be quite difficult to get cleaned up, but I will try what I can to get rid of that glue. That might just have to be a paint black jobby and hope for the best, to be fair. What we have here is the grille, and what I've used there in that, I don't know if you can see it, but I've actually used some Citadel shade Null oil in between the slats there, and what that's done is that's made the back of the grille here darker than the slats on the top. In fact, we can just give them a clean to bring them up a little bit better. What this does is it just gives it a bit more depth and makes it look a little bit less bright and chromy, because on the real car it wouldn't look so bright and in your face. It has come out quite nicely. I don't think we need to really do much more. I might put a couple more, once it's dried, might put a couple more layers of Null Lawn in there just to get the shade a bit more even. It looks a little bit patchy. Okay, we have the brake discs, the setup for the discs and the steering. This is a very generalized part. It is very thin, so as we lower this, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I've got enough to work with down there, but up here this might be a little bit of an issue, just to how I would normally lower the kits. But we have enough to work with, so that's all that matters. I just need a good bit of glue to cut about 1 millimetre out of there, maybe not even that much, 0.5 mil, and to glue it back on, and that will give us a little bit less height on the front of the car. The steering arms, we don't really need to do anything with that, those will fit regardless. Okay, so moving on to the interior, we've got the main interior panel here. Seat looks quite comfy. It's got some speakers in the back there, or what I assume to be speakers, and a subwoofer. You can see some glue damage here. This is going to be, I'm going to use some flocking on this. It'll be the first time I'm using flocking, so I'll be able to cover some of that damage up before we put it all back together. But I will get it painted first, of course. The door panels, as you can see, we're not going to worry about this bit of glue here because that's where it would attach to the rest of the dashboard, but they are nicely detailed, very easy to mask up, and they should be looking quite tidy once we've managed to get those painted. Okay, so we've got the dashboard here looking nice and pretty. The previous owner of the kit did put the decals on. That's a bit of a shame. It's going to cause a little bit of a nuisance. I'm wondering if I am able to get those off or out or replace them with some. I'm pretty sure I've got some spares somewhere, but other than that, it shouldn't be too difficult to get around that, making it look quite nice. So I'm going to go for a two-tone with this particular kit. It's going to be like a dark grey at the top, and it's going to be like a beige. I'm looking at one of the Ferrari colours, if I'm honest, maybe a Sabia, which is this kit, which is this colour, which is zero paints. It's a lovely colour once it's on. It's not too different to what you see here, but it is kind of more of a matte texture, or a satin texture. Okay, and then we have the seats. Again, these will be two-toned up. You've got the kind of a little cubbyhole tray there. These are usually handlebars that the rear passengers can hold on to for dear life, I guess. You know, don't need too much work, maybe a bit of filling. I might have to pull those apart and re-glue them a little bit better. The wheels look pretty good. to be honest, although they're a little bit small. I think these are going to be 18s. They are a 2-piece. They are nice wheels. They would be more suited to maybe a Safiro or an R33 or something like that, but not for what we've got in mind. I am thinking maybe Leon Hardwick Wafts or something like that, something like these. As we can see, once hit on, it would actually look pretty nice, and with the body kit as well, it would look pretty good. Yeah, I'm actually quite liking that. I'm thinking I'm going to go for, I think I'm going to go for a black colour once it's painted a gloss black. Keep it proper VIP, get some cream on the interior to contrast it, and it'll look pretty hot. Okay, so we've got some aero wing mirrors here. Put that down. Don't know if you can see them in any great detail there. The glass will have to come out before painting, of course, but they will go straight back on. They just need a little bit of clean up, and they're a little bit rough around the edges, but shouldn't take too much work. Okay, and last but not least, the windows. We've got some windscreen wipers on here. Those will be coming off. The decals will be coming off, and I'm going to give this window a very, very, very thorough polishing with some Tamiya compound, which I have just in there. And that should come up nice and sparkling, get rid of the yellowness, and you can't really see any of the paint, the glue damage at all when it's on the car, so that's not too much of an issue for me. Okay, and there it is, overview of the kit as it's in bits. Please join me on the next video. We will be going into preparation for paint, which is a lot of sanding basically, and then we'll do the polishing on the windows as well at the same time. Okay, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.